Yar yar, it's a pirate life for me.
You guys know what I like about pirates? They like to sing. I also like to sing. Hi guys, and welcome to a card review for Pirates from the Commander Legends. Here we have
Malcolm, keen-eyed navigator,
and
Breaches Brassen plunderer,
and the main attraction,
Hullbreacher. I gotta stop this. This is killing my voice.
Now in this video we are gonna be looking at a few pirates, and to look into this little pirate commander partner theme we also have here, and talk about if they're gonna see some play in cEDH, and if these two would actually create a deck together, or if they would create a deck with another commander that's available to them. But first, we're actually going to begin with the main attraction, why you're all here. Now, normally you take the main attraction last, but we're doing the opposite. We're starting off with
the Hullbreacher.
This card is insane, but you already knew that. It's a 3 mana cost merfolk pirate, and he just happens to be a pirate. Regardless of what creature type it actually would have, you would automatically pay it anyway. It's a 3/2 with flash. Now, if an opponent would draw a card except the first one they draw in each of their draw step, instead you create a treasure token. Now this is more or less the same but different to a Notion Thief, also negating and kind of stealing the card draws from your opponents. Now, here are some rules, because I actually got some questions regarding the opposition agent. What if a player has a Notion Thief in play, and then someone casts a wheel, and you respond by casting the Hullbreacher? It's a time stamp thing. So I'm not a judge, so I don't want to sit here and explain the different layers, because that is actually a bit complicated, but in general it's very similar to the stack, the newest permanent in play that is doing the exact same thing. For example, if two people have Hullbreacher in battlefield, the newest Hullbreacher is going to be the one that is taking over everything. This is the same with an opposition agent. If there are two opposition agents in play, the newest opposition agent is going to be the one that is stealing the search. The same thing with Notion Thief. Now, I am not a judge, so don't quote me on this, but timestamp is the rule mechanic that is going to govern these creatures. Now, as a CC player, I'm super duper mega happy. I actually think Hullbreacher might be better than Notion Thief for specifically CC. This might sound a bit strange. Normally, Notion Thief is way better than Hullbreacher, because gaining card draw is way better than actually gaining treasures. You're usually going to draw into fast mana, so Notion Thief is in a way gaining both mana and card draw, while Hullbreacher is only gaining mana. But for CC, all you really want is mana, so Hullbreacher is gonna be better. Let's make an actual really likely scenario. Let's say you have CC in play, and she's a 2/2, no more legendaries, that's sad. And then someone around the table is casting a Wheel of Fortune. That is actually quite common. There's a lot of decks running around with Wheel of Fortunes, and in your hand, you have a Hullbreacher. So you cast your Hullbreacher with a magical flash, ambushing them completely. Now, all of your opponents are gonna go hellbent. You're gonna draw a hand of 7, and you're going to create 21 treasures if you have 3 opponents. And from there, CC will win in instant speed. First, you spend 5 treasures and you gain an Oath of Nissa. Now CC is a 3/3. Now you spend 5 more and you gain Kinnan. Now CC is a 4/4. You have a remaining 11 treasures. Let's sack 10 treasures, and from that, with Kinnan, you're going to get 20 mana. That's 4 more CC activations. From only 3 activations, you can find the Revi, Gaia's Cradle, and Emil, and from this you have infinite green mana, and then you can transform that infinite green mana into any other mana. Now you have infinite colored mana, and you can do whatever you want. You can activate CC infinitely, or you can activate Kinnan infinitely. What I usually do is I pump all the mana into Kinnan until I find Dockside Extortionist and Mayhem Devil, and then with Emil I have infinite damage as I'm flickering Dockside Extortionist. And because wheels are so frequently casted, I'm going to include Eldamir's Call so I can find that Hullbreacher in instant speed and really ambush the game. But people are quite frequently drawing cards in cEDH, and sometimes the card draw isn't even an option, it's something you have to do. Let's actually read Crom. Whenever an opponent casts his or her second spell each turn, draw a card. There's no may there. Crom have to draw the card. So if you have a Hullbreacher in your hand, begin with casting the Hullbreacher, and then just cast whatever spell you could think of, and then Crom is going to try to draw a card, but you're going to create a treasure instead. Just imagine the sadness for Gitrog and Corvold players. This is straight up an auto-include cEDH staple that is probably going to be played everywhere. You always want to accelerate and accumulate more mana, and you always want to shut down your opponents from drawing cards or progressing their game plan in any form of way, and this card is perfectly doing just that. I actually even consider Hullbreacher way stronger than Smothering Tide. Poor white. Hullbreacher is less mana and got flash, so you can actually sit with it in your hand, trying to ambush with it against that wheel, where people are most likely going to avoid casting the wheel into that Smothering Tide. Hullbreacher is also always going to give you that treasure, while Smothering Tide is mostly going to give you that treasure, unless your opponents are paying for it. But now I'm gonna say something really weird. I'm gonna say that Hullbreacher is going to be the better card, while Smothering Tide is gonna feel like the better card. Let me explain. Cards like Opposition Agent and Hullbreacher will never really give you value. They're just gonna sit there and do nothing, because opponents won't search their libraries if there's an Opposition Agent in play, and they won't try to draw extra cards if there's an Hullbreacher in play. Okay, I've actually seen people do this, but that's usually because they are actually tired and almost falling asleep trying to win the game without actually thinking about it. And that's the thing, you're usually gonna sit there with these cards and think that they aren't doing anything, while your opponents are usually gonna have wheel fetches, search effects, tutors, card draw brainstorms in their hand that they can't use, but you don't see them casting these things because you have these hate bears in play. But this is where Smothering Tide is gonna sit there and feel stronger, not be stronger, but feel stronger, because people are often being a little bit greedy, playing into the Smothering Tide, casting that brainstorm, activating that Sylvan library, and just fueling you with treasures where they maybe shouldn't, or maybe where they should pay for it. So you are gaining a lot of value for your Smothering Tide compared to what you're going to gain with the Hullbreacher. However, your opponents are still progressing their board state, getting forward with their game plan, drawing cards. Usually, drawing cards is better than accumulating treasures. Therefore, it is usually better that your opponents aren't drawing cards and you aren't accumulating treasures, in comparison to your opponents drawing cards and you gaining treasure. Let's actually take that one again. I would rather sit here and watch my opponent do nothing and me gaining nothing, instead of my opponents drawing cards and I'm gaining treasures. I value that stronger. Let's proceed and let's look at these two partner pirate commanders. They can actually team up with each other, or they can team up with other already existing partners. They both have a very similar effect. Whenever one or more pirates deal damage, not combat damage, but damage, that's important, we're gonna talk about that soon, to your opponents, they are either, in the blue case version, producing treasures, and in the red case version, exiling cards from your opponent's libraries, and you may play these cards this turn. The mono red goblin monkey pirate's ability is very similar to Paco and Grenzo Havoc Racer. And if you want to have a game plan when you're attacking and stealing cards from your opponents, I think Paco is probably going to do all of the things you want to do, but better. Grenzo have a big problem being on only colored entity of red, and this is where the goblin might be better than Grenzo. You're sacrificing that you have to do it with pirates, but you're gaining more color identities, and that could lead into better future pathways. Here's the thing, the goblin's ability is actually rather good, but in order to make the deck functional and cEDH viable, you have to have pirates that are individually good on their own, and Hullbreacher is just one of an amazing example. That is actually an amazing pirate you're going to play regardless of it being a pirate. It is also just going to automatically synergize with your commander. Except for the mono blue pirate option, the mono red pirate has two other partner options in my eyes. Either you team up with Silas Ren, Seeker Adept, so you get the Grixis color red, blue, black, so you get access to also the black pirates if you want them. That's gonna increase your pirate ratio inside deck. Or you team up with Sidar Kondorov something, that's gonna give you the Naya red, green, white color identities, and most of the pirates are actually at power 2, which means that the Sidar is gonna make all of your pirates unblockable, and that's gonna help you get through blockers to gain that steal effect. Malcolm Kenai Navigator is a similar version to Captain Landry Storm that I've actually seen some play in some cEDH decks that are desiring more mana. You simply cast them, attack with them, and you gain mana. That's okay. Now I actually think that Malcolm Kenai Navigator is better because flying is evasion, and that's gonna help you get through without actually dying running into big blockers. Now Captain Landry Storm has something going for it as well, having haste, so you can attack immediately. But for the same reason Captain Landry Storm have seen some play inside the 99, I actually think Malcolm Keen-Eyed Navigator could see some play inside some 99s as well. And here comes the final review for this pirate partner commander pair. They are actually good, their abilities are decent as long as there are pirates that are good inside the deck. And good news, there actually are a bunch of pirates that are good on their own. Let's begin with Glinthorn Buccaneer. It's a 2/4, 3 mana cost miniature pirate with haste. Whenever you discard a card, Glinthorn deals 1 damage to each opponent. If this is attacking, you can pay 2 mana, discard a card, and deal 1 damage to all of your opponents. Now remember, these two commander partners, they triggered on damage from pirates, not only combat damage. That means that if you activate this and discard a card, you're going to generate 3 treasures from the Malcolm Keen-Eyed Navigator. Now here's the cool part, you consume 2 of these treasures to activate Glinthorn's ability again, discarding a card and then drawing a card, dealing a damage to all opponents, gaining 3 more treasures, and yes, you guessed it, you're going infinite. So Glinthorn Buccaneer is a pirate that is a 1-card combo with Malcolm Keen-Eyed Navigator. Basically, if you have both inside your deck, you have a 2-card combo going for you. And yes, you're also going to exile the top 3 cards of all of your opponent's libraries from each Glinthorn Buccaneer combo with your Brazen Plunderer. Now the ratio of good pirates aren't really enough, in my opinion. There are some that are actually quite okay. For example, Direfleet Daredevil is a pirate. It's okay-ish. It is far from a cEDH staple and it's far from an auto-include, but it's definitely something and a pirate. Then you have Daring Saboteur that got unblockable for 3 mana whenever it deals combat damage to an opponent. You draw a card and you discard a card. That's something if you want to increase your pirate ratio. It's not useless. And then you have the best pirate in the entire game, Dockside Extortionist. This is an all-star auto-include red card that every deck is pretty much playing, even though it's a pirate. They don't really care about it being a pirate, but for this deck, it just happened to be an amazing card that is also a pirate. Now I don't think that this commander pair is gonna do something broken and busted, but this is actually a commander pair I kind of wish is gonna function in the future. I hope Wizards are gonna print more mono red pirates so that I can team up with Brazen Plunderer and Sidar to make all my red tiny weenie pirates unblockable and smash, grab and steal cards from my opponent. I think this could be a really fun deck. I don't think it's gonna be a great busted OP deck, but probably a quite fun deck, somewhere around casual competitive or even semi-competitive power level. I think this commander pair is gonna be way stronger compared to the Naya version I just showcased, but I don't think this is gonna be dominating the format. It definitely got something going for it with a 1-card combo, and in the command zone, mana engine, and in the command zone, card draw value engine. So there's a lot of potential upgrades by Wizard of the Coast could print more pirates like Hullbreacher that is gonna boost this deck, but for now I think this is gonna run around same in the casual, competitive or semi-competitive power level as well. Alright, that's it. I should have an outro. And people have been really commentating on my beautiful singing, and I just happen to have the perfect song. The king and his men stole the queen from her bed and bound her in her bones. The seas be ours, and by the powers where we will roam. Yo ho, all hands, hoist the colors high. Hee ho, thieves and beggars, never shall we die. Now some have died and some are alive, and others sail on the sea, with the keys to the cage and the devil to pay. We lay to fiddler's green. Yo ho, haul together, hoist the colors high. Hee ho, thieves and beggars, never shall we die.